Hello and welcome back to Anywhere But Here, episode 238. My name is Tom.
And my name's Ant.
And you can find us at abhpod.com, where on the right-hand side of the page there is an Amazon banner. Go through the Amazon banner, do your shopping at amazon.co.uk as you usually would. You buy everything on there, I know you do. And we get 5% of your total basket spend at the end, and it doesn't change the user experience at all. No extra charges for you, no nothing like that. They've got all your details anyway. What are you worried about?
You've already got the account there. Just use it. Use our banner as well. If you don't have any shopping to do on Amazon because, I don't know, you're weird, you can support us in a more regular fashion, actually. You just go to abhpod.com and you use the Patreon banner that is above the Amazon banner, and for as little as $1 a month, because you can make the voluntary choice of donating more if you want to. You get extra content. You get the After the Podcast. You'll get YouTube videos earlier than like the non-Patreon supporters get them. You might get outtakes when we decide to do them again. We used to do that. You can do spoiler cast. If we've watched a film that's come out at the cinema and we both seen it and we both want to talk about it, we'll do a spoiler cast, and we usually save those for when we need to take a break. But if you're a Patreon supporter, you will get them as and when we record them straight away. And any of the audio content, it gets sent to a specialised feed, and you'll get all of the bonus stuff sent straight to whatever podcast app you use. You'll also get this main episode without these tortured intros.
You can find us on Twitter at ABH Pod, and you can find us on Facebook.com/ABH Pod, and also YouTube.com/ABH Podcast.
Yeah, and you can contact us through email as well, abhpod@gmail.com.
On this episode, Ande Case comes back to the pod once more to talk about the ending of the first series of Monsoon Jackson. Well, not about the ending of it, just about how it has gone down and been received, and some behind-the-scenes stuff, but not too much. Just in case you've not listened to it, which you should, go out and check out Monsoon Jackson on Twitter.
We also talked to Andy about some of his recent trips, including the trip to Royal Albert Hall to the BAFTAs.
And I've got a squirrel problem.
Enjoy. I'll just press record and we'll just go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Because this seems to be going in the right direction.
Yeah, bosses, huh?
Yeah, bosses.
No names, no pack drill.
No, absolutely not.
Of course not. We're not necessarily talking about current bosses.
No, of
at
course,
all.
No.
But I've mentioned quite a few times, I don't know if I've ever said it on here, but I know I've mentioned it. I think I have actually when I first started, how it's weird how every other job I've had, there's a massive blame culture all over the place.
Yeah.
So like when I was working in a factory, you had if you were working so you got to make 16 parts an hour, and if you make 15 parts in an hour, someone comes over to you and they're like, why have you only made 15 parts? What are you doing? I saw you talking over there for 2 minutes. That's
You took a breath.
Yeah, and it's. But now I'm at a job where I'm like, I go up to someone and I'm like, oh, I just said this to this person, and then they've said they're going off to their room and now they're crying in the dark, and they're like, oh, okay, don't worry about it. How are you feeling about the whole situation?
Wow.
You know, is there anything you could do different? And it's like, what? This person could be doing some serious damage to themselves over here, and you're asking if I'm okay?
You just hear the single gunshot go off and go, well...
There's nothing you could have done about it.
Yeah.
No, what a better culture, though, when people actually realise that the people there also have issues and or need time or need things to process or need support. And
yeah, it is really strange. It's really strange.
but in a good way.
But yeah, a very good way. It's what's the best way to put it? It's unfamiliar.
You're waiting for it to end, aren't you? You're waiting for one day when they come and go, rah!
Yeah, they come in.
This is all just a big joke.
Yeah, I mean, not to sort of flower it. It's not all flowery. There are you do butt heads with people occasionally, but
sure.
They're generally not managers. It's the managers are really supportive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that's, considering where you work, I think that's spot on what the environment should be.
It's what you would expect, isn't it? Working in a sort of psychiatric hospital.
Yeah,
it's not psychiatric hospital gives you the impression of an asylum, doesn't it?
I've just got thunder and lightning and like the big iron gates and
Gothic
building.
As the door opens when you walk in, padded cells and stuff.
And the lights flickering.
Outlast. But it's so like mental health hospital or whatever you want to call it. You'd expect a sort of supportive culture there, and
you'd expect it, but not. That's not how it always works, is it? So,
not at all. No.
So it's great that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big culture shock going from the bank to where I am now. In that, like the bank, you were chained to your desk and timed for everything that you ever did.
Yeah.
And then going to a place where they just kind of let you get on with it, and as long as you hit your deadlines and stuff, then it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's a really weird.
As long as you've done your work, go home or take an extra long break.
And that's how it should be. If they're paying you to be there, they should be saying, "Well, I trust you. I've chosen you to do that job. I think you're capable of doing that job. Go away and do that job until some point that I either think you can't do it, or you need to move on to something else." But what's the point of employing someone and going through all that faff? And you say, I absolutely don't trust you to do the job I've just spent 3 months recruiting someone to do the job for.
And the weird thing is like where you say like, and if you can't do it, then find something. But in my place, it's like, and if you can't do it, we will come over and ask if there's anything we can do to help you, so you can learn how to do it better. And it's like it's constant evolution. It's really good. It's so strange. Anyway,
it's weird that you feel like you've had so many jobs that are rubbish.
Yeah.
Where you're unsupported and not encouraged, that when you finally get one where you are, it's a shell-shocking kind of thing, isn't it? Like you like you say, you expect the rug to be pulled out from under you at some point. Yeah.
But it's similar to that imposter syndrome when you're doing a job and someone leaves you to do it and you're like, I'm not supposed to be here. It's when you're at a job like that and they're really supportive, you're like, something's not right. You just don't trust anything.
Yeah.
You can't trust anything. I think that's just the British way, isn't it?
I think maybe.
Just not to trust anything.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. But yes, as people, and obviously we've said in the intro, Andy is back.
Hi there.
Hello, Andy.
We're trying this new thing every episode now, where we start talking and I'm just like, I'm going to discreetly press record or announce that I should have pressed record and then press record.
Yeah, what about my GDPR?
Yeah,
come on.
Sorry,
that's true. Yeah,
full disclosure, man.
Yeah, all podcasts could be done under GDPR regulations, although that's R, isn't it? Yes, this is on the back of Monsoon Jackson finishing.
Yeah,
season
series 1. I know, flash by. All that work and then suddenly poof.
Yeah, 10
done.
Episodes, 10 weeks.
Yeah, very.
And bloopers reel, of course, as well.
The bloopers reel, yeah.
Bloopers reel was fun.
That was funny, yeah.
And there was quite a lot I had to cut because there was some really outrageous swearing.
Sure.
That I really thought. I'll allow some swearing, but honestly, some of it. So, honestly, it's just outrageous.
How does it feel? How has the feedback been?
Feedback's been really positive.
Yeah.
It's been really nice. Some obviously yourselves, thank you.
Yes.
Some Audio Joe, obviously. Adam, he's been very kind. People I've never even spoken to before, sort of giving feedback or sort of signing up to listen. So it's been really pleasant. Obviously, like anything you do, you're hoping the hordes will come to it. But I think it's more a growth thing. I think I'm working on series 2 now.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for that. I've got some ideas. One that I need to share with you offline.
Okay.
But I've got some ideas for that, and I've got some names, if you like, involved in that.
Right.
So hopefully that will just build. Because I originally only intended to do sort of one series, just sort of test the waters for podcasting. Would anyone like it, or is it people just going, "What the hell's this shit?" But actually, it's been so good that I thought, all right, I'll put the time in. And do the next one.
And the advantage with the second series, you're doing a series, you're British.
Series, I'm not. How dare you? It's not a season.
Right, so
obviously, if Netflix is listening, I'm fine with season.
Season is great. Season works really well. But the advantage with doing a second series as well is that you've already got the world set up now.
Yeah,
so
I don't need to.
It can just be completely narrative.
There'll be hints.
Obviously, there's going to be more world building,
yeah.
because you'll go new places and new characters. but a majority of it is done now. And I when I was listening to it, I had this weird thing where I've listened to audio, like plays, audio dramas, serialized things, and I never pick up on it, but I did for some reason this time. Like I remember listening to the first series. It was pretty much all narrative, wasn't it? It was just who he is, and it's about Monsoon Jackson. The second one, you started world build, and I noticed it. Like for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's how it works." So you get people in with the first one, and then you start building the world afterwards.
Then go
and
backwards slightly.
It's really clever, really well done.
Oh,
I know I saw somebody else you communicated with, a friend of ours, Loz.
Yeah.
If I'm right in thinking, his favourite film is Blade Runner.
That's right.
And he compared the world.
He did.
To Blade
That's
Runner,
very kind.
which is
Which,
having never seen Blade Runner, I totally agree with. I could see what he meant, sort of that sort of futuristic, almost. But it's not post-apocalyptic, is it?
It's deliberately not post-apocalyptic.
No,
there's too much post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, but it's that grimy, futuristic. It's like future, but not like all clean,
mundane.
It's mundane. It's exactly what I think it will be. I think whenever I'm old enough to remember Tomorrow's World, and every time they did something on Tomorrow's World, it was always like, in the future everyone will be wearing silver spacesuits, and you'll eat a tablet for a meal, and everything will just be always so much better. And that was always the thing, wasn't it? That the future is always better. And you think, well, I've been alive long enough now that things have got better. There's better education, better medicine, better understanding of the world. There's still some stuff we're awful at. Sort of orange-haired twats getting in, but there's still some things we get terribly, terribly wrong. But if you look at the general growth as you've sort of growing up, it's some great things have come along, but it's just kind of just got a bit better. Yeah, you've got your mobile phone. You've got your tablet, you've got high-speed internet access, but that's just kind of, everything's just a bit better. Yeah. It's not like everything is suddenly brilliant.
It's incrementally better, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also, so we've got this amazing technology that does amazing things, but it still breaks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, that's what you pick up from, like with all the... I find it difficult to recall what you were calling them, but the mechanised, like the bionic stuff,
the moleskin, and
but it still needs charging, it still needs batteries, so it will still sort of like it won't work forever.
I made that deliberately, like when he has the artificial arm fitted.
Full spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes. I don't know if is that a spoiler really?
No,
fitted,
but I don't.
I won't go too far. And then when the dragons attack.
Or eagles.
Series 2. It's all dragons and eagles. So when I took a lot of decisions, and a lot of it was around, I think I want to be sort of what I think would be realistic. So I think like unlimited energy. As far as I know, we're still saying that's not possible. No one has yet proven that's possible. So there is extended life energy. So there's never been sort of any proof yet that energy can last forever. So I made the decision that yes, it's in the future, but it would still run out of energy. So it would still need at some point to plug in, and all the time it's out of energy, it's basically dragging a lead weight along.
Yeah, and it helps create that suspense as well. Like when he's running through the crowd and his moleskin's just about to run out, so he has to find somewhere.
I'm very much from the. I know you are too. I'm very much from the sort of the school of. You can have fancy things, but they have to have some kind of drawbacks. It's the same as even from I suppose films where they're having a gunfight. Yeah, and that particular weapon has, say, not like because I've investigated this for writing other things, but particular guns might have, say, 16 rounds. So you have 15 in the clip and 1 in the pipe. But for some reason, they're just firing continuously for about 10 minutes without reloading. You go, what gun is this?
How is that possible?
Why at no point does he have to stop and reload? Or even sometimes films where they do reload, but they've reloaded after about 5 minutes of continuous firing. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to be boring realistic. I don't want to, you don't want in a film where there's a firefight going on, everyone stopping every 30 seconds go, hang on.
Need to reload my clip.
Because that's obviously boring. But
you want that bit where you reload the clip because it gives time to... move this. Yeah.
And it's also, look, you're working with limited ammunition. You're working with limited, it puts a risk in, because you're not going to lug huge, endless amounts of ammunition around. You might have, I don't know, say 3 or 4 clips with you, but that's it. That is your total amount before you run out.
Do you know what that actually came up? How Punisher?
I haven't started it.
So there's a character who has. he's using a gun.
Yeah.
And it's got, the big sort of circular. It's not a Tommy gun, so it's not the circular clip, but it's got like a double circular clip thing.
Oh, I know.
So it's quite big. It's a big
like 200 rounds, isn't it? Those ones?
Yeah. So it's quite big. But then he reloads that gun, like puts a new magazine, and like when I said about magazine, it's like magazine. I'm like, well, yeah,
that's what they.
Because it's not a clip; it's a magazine because it's massive.
Yeah.
But he reloaded it about 4 or 5 times. He put a new magazine in, but he didn't have any backpack or anything.
Where's he getting
those magazines from? I didn't quite understand what was going on.
Is it Amazon Prime super fast delivery? Is it?
Yeah, Prime same day delivery.
Dropped in by drone.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on? I will say we've just finished episode 11. There's 13 in the Netflix series.
Yeah.
I love how this side character from Daredevil season 2. Now, he was a main plot point of it. Like, he wasn't a side character. He was
he was an antagonist.
Protagonist. Yeah. But he's like Punisher just wipes the floor with everyone. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. It
is still good. Anyway,
still only got the second episode of Daredevil 3 watched so far.
Yeah, I finished that.
Yeah.
But you say it takes you out the moment, doesn't it? The moment you spot something like that, it's like, oh, hang on.
It was just so weird.
You're out of the moment.
Sometimes people get super pedanty with it, with like, was it Cloverfield, with the type of camera he was using. Apparently people were like, you couldn't film for that long on that camera with the batteries in it without having to, and you're like, yeah, but it needs to be a full film. But like there are some
it conks out after 15 minutes.
And you never see the end of the film.
It's just a blank screen for 40 minutes. Yeah, no, obviously there is always an element of you suspend your disbelief there, but I think it has to be within limitations. So it's like when you see the scene with the car chases and they crash into things, but the car keeps going. And then you see the car at the end and it's destroyed, but somehow the engine block and everything is still working.
Well, it's like any of those chases that take place in San Francisco down the bumpy
the
roads
suspension would snap after the first jump.
As would you, I think. I think you'd be like a jelly by the second one. So
no spine.
Well, your spine would be arcing its way through the sunroof. But so of course, yes, there has to be an element of you. But I think it has to be within. Okay, this I can see this could happen, sort of thing. I appreciate they're pushing it for the scene, but that's fine. But like you say, when it's something so, I don't know, just something that's so far out, like you say, when he's reloading, if he's reloading with those magazines, but he's not brought any in with him, of course, part of your brain's going, hang on a minute, and then you're out of the scene, aren't you? So,
But I think a lot of that has to do with us having like creative brains as well. Like Liz was watching it, probably wouldn't have thought twice about it because like she doesn't.
But I also think it's logic as well sometimes,
Yeah.
Like there's a little voice in the back of your head that's like, hold on.
Yeah. I guess, that's probably got a lot to do with our personality as well.
Yeah.
And it also, it also is, you do need some element of where the main protagonist stays alive despite the risk. So, when you have any scene, like if they're running out of oxygen and it's flashing red and they've got to get to that door before it goes, in the back of your mind, they're going to make it. Through that door, just as it presumably runs out completely, because otherwise, the film would just grind to a hole, wouldn't it? They're just dead on the handle, floating in space because the oxygen's run out.
And
so there's
that element in that scenario. Their blood probably would have started boiling by then. If the oxygen was that low, their blood would have started boiling.
So you could.
So it's not just the fact they can't breathe. It's, there's a lot of it. Yeah.
Or it's the bomb timer going down and it's going to stop at 1 second. That kind
but
of...
But I think like with where you say the moleskin and things like that running out of batteries, or his legs sort of only have a certain number. Is it a certain number of uses or no, it's a certain height.
He has to have them serviced.
And he has to have them serviced. And I think like writing like faults or writing things like that into it does help tell the story.
Because the lazy way to write is that they're amazing and they make him a superhero.
Yeah.
That's the lazy way to do things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas actually writing in obstacles is much more difficult, I think.
Yeah, I think everyone. Well, personally, I prefer if you've got the hero's got to have flaws and they've got to have weaknesses, because otherwise it just gets a bit tedious.
Otherwise, you're Superman.
Yeah.
Or Luke Cage.
Yep.
You know, it's that sort of thing where if they're just too, and obviously, yes, I know people will say, "Oh, but you know, Batman took out Superman," but generally speaking, if they're just too impervious, yeah, you can write some great stories, you can have some great adventures, but ultimately the characters, I think, fundamentally flawed because you can't really take them too far on any particular journey because you know they can't really fall apart, or because you've already said these people are basically perfect in every way and you know impervious to everything, so you can't really take them on any journeys. And obviously, I've got some plans for. You'll be surprised to learn it's going darker. In series 2, but
that is a surprise.
what a massive surprise that it isn't all meadows and butterflies and. But so you've got and I really appreciate you saying that because that means a lot because I wanted to leave enough where I said this is kind of in my head what the world is, but not having to sort of spoon feed it.
Yeah,
and that's some of the feedback I got that I kind of got the world, understood where you were going. And had some interesting conversations. I was lucky enough to speak to a couple of people who have sort of been there, done it. And there were some comments about, should have maybe put more sound effects in more. And I did think about that, about sort of sound effects. I thought...
Well, we had the conversation, didn't we, when you came
did.
in?
But it was a feedback, and this was guys who've worked on some sort of big productions.
Okay.
And so I kind of went, I understand where you're coming from because that's in your way of doing things, and I totally respect that. But I just think that for this, I think it worked quite well, where it's just spoken dialogue.
Yeah, I didn't really notice.
No,
I didn't feel anything was missing from it in that sense. Like it felt.
And I think I worried too much.
Finished product to me. Like.
Thank you. And I think I worried as well that if I started doing sound effects, where do you stop? You just
that's
start
it, isn't it? Because then you can turn it into like you'll have 25 tracks of sound effects, let alone the you've got footsteps and you've got gunshots and you've got like ambient noises like the wind and
absolutely,
dogs barking
how much
in
is
the
enough?
background. Yeah.
So every time you see sort of monsoon water,
like what surface? Is it concrete? Is it wood? Is it?
And then
gravel?
you walked onto Grosh.
No, I feel,
and then you run the risk of actually having to explain exactly where he is all the time as well, and describe the whole world, which is kind of not the point.
And then he went from parquet flooring. So I just thought the purpose of that story was to tell the story, and I just hoped, and it seems to work, that people were quite happy to just sort of build the world in their own heads, and they didn't need that. So
it wasn't straight just like voice director Mike. There was like voice modulation and things like that in it as well. So
and the backing track too.
And the backing track,
there was a backing track.
There was. Yeah.
I like the elements of comedy in there as well. I like the fake adverts. I thought they were really good. They were really
I was quite pleased with those.
Yeah.
I think
really good.
I think that was a reaction again. I mean, there are some podcasts that I really like listening to, but I have noticed over the last probably 2 years that it's gone from maybe one advert at the beginning to like 8 minutes of adverts.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, yes, I know you can skip through and obviously do all that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, and I understand you're trying to make a living out of doing this, and I get all that argument completely. But it's just, if I settle down to listen to, a story,
Mm.
I just want to sort of immerse myself in the story. I don't want to be sat there going skip.
Yeah.
Skip.
Yeah.
Oh
shit!
No, they're still going skip. God almighty, skip.
Yeah.
How are they still selling beds? Skip.
Casper mattresses.
I don't know if you're on iPhone or are you on Android.
I'm on Android.
Do you use Pocket Casts?
I don't at the moment.
Okay. Because I know on the iPhone, Apple's podcast app, it's 15 seconds, like forwards and backwards. With Pocket Cast, for some reason, it's 30 seconds forwards, 10 seconds backwards.
Oh, right.
So you'll go skip. Oh, fuck. No. Just going back. Because you like skip to like a minute, 1.5 minutes forwards, but then you've got to skip sort of 40 seconds backwards, and it's like, oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think the one I'm using at the moment, you can define how far you want to skip, but even then you're still going to miss.
Yeah.
And like you say, and then you're kind of taken out of it, because what you want to do is, I mean, it's fine if you're sat and you can skip, but if you're driving,
if you're on the move or something,
moving around, but
and the danger of it as well, if you're skipping forwards and you skip too far and you're like, it's standing over so and so's body, and you're like, no,
it was the butler. Oh God.
The worst ones are the ones I've noticed. There's some on Acast especially. They drop the ads in at random.
Yes.
And it will be halfway through a conversation.
Really weird.
Like almost halfway through a word sometimes, and that really annoys me.
That's really odd, because I suppose naively, perhaps, I assumed that, they're obviously giving you the platform and things, but they would work with you to say, look, where's a natural break?
Yeah.
So, and now I'm handing over to, say, Tom. So you'd say, oh, great, so then we'll put the advert in there. But like you say, it just seems to be... and then they said, diddle-diddle, and it's like, wait, no, what? Why?
What did they say?
Yes, some of them they insert it into a specific time, but I know if you look on because we use Podbean for hosting now, you can per episode put in where you would like adverts.
Oh, really?
So you can say, we've got space here and here. You can actually define a time.
So maybe.
But then that sort of comes into you edit it and you're like, right, okay, so that's at this minute, and then you've got to try and insert it. But then if they put 2 adverts in, putting the first advert in pushes the second one back. You're like,
that's
shit.
True.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you've now
so
told
the time would
the
be
second
different
time
now.
code is wrong. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yes,
I do like listening to Monsoon Jackson though. I don't know if you do actually secretly have like an advertiser, because like for some reason I've wanted to buy Yankee candles. I'm not sure.
Hand on heart, it was not funded by anyone.
Okay, right.
Except myself.
I just felt like I needed to buy some scented candles for some reason.
It's all drawn from experience. It was that was drawn from someone from many years ago. That was just, this is even before sort of Yankee really, it was just when scented candles first became a thing, and they were just psychotically obsessed. And they kept saying, "Oh, come smell this one." It's like, it's wax. No, really shove your nose in, and like it's like, then I'm just going to burn my nose, aren't I?
It wasn't Joe, was it?
No, absolutely not. No, no, but that kind of thing amused me, and it did become a bit of a trope. I think that just amused me, and I'm glad that amused you as well, because it was really just funny. The point of.
It was funny. But it
was literally the point, like when you came down and we had a conversation after episode 6, I think it was. You came down, and we were discussing eagles in Lord of the Rings and how Lord of the Rings could have been so much quicker if the eagles.
I got told off about that. I was wrong about that apparently.
So. Oh, right. But then in the very next episode, you referenced
the eagles. It was. I have to say, when you did contact me, I went, "Oh, let's just wait." Oh, that's a glorious time to send me that.
Yeah, it was while I was brushing my teeth in the morning. I nearly spat out the toothpaste. And then the other part as well, without spoiling anything, was the ending. I didn't see it coming.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I said there was a point I was listening to, but the thing is, I had the advantage that you were ahead of me, so you had that conversation on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I may have been like subconsciously looking for something,
right, yeah.
And there was a point I went, "Oh, is that his?" And like it was that sort of, and then I was like, "No, I'm just no," and then I forgot about it, and at the end it was like,
I did pick up on it.
Yeah, but I didn't get it exactly right, but you know.
Yeah, I didn't. No spoilers, so we won't go into that.
No.
But I didn't want to. I didn't want to keep seeding it all the way through. So I put in a couple, but that was it, and I thought that would do, because it wasn't really that important either, particularly.
Right.
To really sort of hammer it all home. But I think it was just enough for people to go, sort of thing, you know. And that was really nice. So
it was an moment, not a moment.
Yeah. And I'm glad you picked up on the. Yeah, I'm glad you picked on stuff like the sort of the candle thing amused me, and I did drop in. There's one about the when he's buying a camera, and it goes through all the sort of features of the camera, but it's only got 10 times optical zoom, and you know, and it's I think I just wrote that stuff to amuse myself, to be honest.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but you got that thing. It's like this camera. Oh my god, it's got 20 megapixels. It's like, yeah, but it's a phone.
Yeah.
Like,
what does it matter?
Yeah, it's on a phone, so. Yeah.
But then, those things will always work for certain people. Do you know what I mean? Like, people will always see those.
Yeah, because I think it's because I've got a digital SLR. It's like 10.1 megapixel or something. Someone had a 20 megapixel camera on their phone, and they're like, "Oh, my phone's got more megapixels than your camera." I'm like, "Yeah, but this is an SLR. This is a camera.
Yeah.
It's gonna take infinitely better pictures than that, because it's got like a 200-pound lens on it."
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. But
you've triggered something. Anyway. Yeah, I did enjoy it. I think, like, if we now go back for a second listen, we'll pick up on those little things you dropped in.
Like, I'm thinking about going back, because when that happened towards the end, I was like, oh, I wonder if there were any, subtle hints that maybe I didn't pick up on the first time round. And clearly there are. So
because you like knowing you're not going to be a writer who just suddenly puts a twist in there that just there was no hint towards it. There was no sort of setup or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to answer that without.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It will.
There isn't much. Put it that way. There isn't much.
Okay.
I just fear now we're going to have like people listening who are like, oh, I don't like it when they say, like, even just saying there's a twist is like spoiling it for me. Like, yeah.
Oh, well.
But like Andy said, it's not a gasp.
No,
twist.
Just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's move away from the ending.
Can someone throw me a ladder?
Or as Cameron said in the after the episode 11 one about him being a space dolphin.
Space dolphin. Yes.
So that's the twist, everyone. He is really a space dolphin.
It's a continuation of Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so ideas or script already for series 2.
The arc is there.
Yeah.
I've written sort of the first 2-ish. There are various reasons I'm holding off writing them, which I'll talk to you about later.
Yeah.
But there's some good. I think I've got sort of enough of a story to make it worth writing, because you always worry, there's no point just writing it for the sake of, well, let's write a second one, because you don't want people to go, oh, that's a bit. So I think I've got the arc. I think I know where it's going, and I think I know, as I said, it's a bit dark, but I think it works. I think it holds up. But we'll see, because it kind of comes out of the writing, really, that I've got the arc, but I need to see where it goes, and sort of, how far he falls and that kind of thing. So it's an interesting journey for me as well. I know it's odd when you say that as a writer, but actually I deliberately don't over storyboard.
Right.
I kind of have the rough sense of direction, and then I tend to write.
And you see where they take you.
Yeah, because I just think it works better. Personally, for me, I think it works better. I know some people love to storyboard every sort of letter.
Yeah.
But I kind of go, no, I roughly want the story to grow that way, so let's see what happens. And then just work around that.
I suppose that makes it more fun to write as well, because as you're writing, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, because they can. Whereas if you've got it there, like, oh, this is going to happen at this point, then this, then this, then this, you sort of know it. Then you're just going through the motions of stitching it all together, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen what I found,
which works for some people. I'm not saying that's
it's not.
It's a wrong way to do it.
It's what works for you as a writer, but I also find then if I do it that approach, that I'll sometimes hear something on the radio, or see something on Twitter, or wherever. That'll annoy me or amuse me or horrify me or whatever. I go, oh, I need to make some kind of reference to that and just scribble that down, and I just think that organic growth works better for me personally.
Yeah, because I think there was like you saying like seeing stuff on Twitter or in the news and stuff, like there was a sort of quite like the politics of the world weaved throughout the story as well.
Yeah.
It's not
well
that
done.
subtle.
quite well done.
My view on politicians isn't that subtle.
No.
Yeah. It was one of my favourite bits was the satire, actually, especially in the universe building at the beginning, where you're talking. Oh, we talked about this when you were in, but the fact, that various worlds needed this. The meeting of the governments to pass by each and every one of their worlds in equal measure, so that everyone feels just as important as everyone else.
And it is absolutely that, and it's still that, and it'll forever be that, because it's all just ego, isn't it? So they don't care about the people; they just care about themselves. So sorry, getting pleased.
I was going to say, hang on, we're talking about the fictional world or the real world now? Got a bit lost there. No.
But you had another adventure the other weekend as well, didn't you? You got to go to BAFTA.
Yeah, I managed to get through the delivery store at the back of the Royal Albert Hall. Sneak through. I had a tray on my arm. And I was
like a Bond movie.
Yeah, absolutely. What
was that about?
I've been part of the BAFTA crew, so that's something you sort of sign up to join.
Okay.
So you have to have done stuff. So you say, I've made this, or I've created this, and here's some links and all that kind of thing. and then they take on a number of people. I don't know how many days, but then they sign up a number of people for the year. And you get to go to things like, for instance, I was lucky enough to go to the first screening of the award-winning shorts. That happened on the Tuesday before.
Right.
So you get to meet the people who made the shorts. They give a conversation about them. There was some great, obviously because of the winners, there were some great ones there. But it was interesting again, and it's something I always challenge myself on, that there was some I went, and some I thought, oh, that's good. But they all won. So it's interesting. You have to bear in mind that just because you're like, actually other people loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Whereas I'm sat there going, yeah, but that doesn't work.
Yeah, but where did you keep all those magazines?
Well, I'll give you an example because it won't be a spoiler. There's one where there's a couple getting romantic in a field. And you're clearly understanding that they're sort of quite on heat with each other, and obviously things are going to happen. So you understand that the whole thing, you understand that. But then there's a scene where you see one of her breasts for the scene, and for me, and I'm not trying to be all prudish or anything, but I just thought, but this doesn't add anything to the scene.
Yeah.
This is totally unnecessary to have this nudity. And I don't mean that I'm Victorian and everything's all, but. Yeah, fine, if it has a point, but it's not necessary, and I didn't see the point in it, and I just thought it's just utterly pointless. Same reason, why didn't you see the guy's package? Why not show that? Why did it have to be the ladies?
There's always been a double standard there, though, hasn't there?
But it was filmed by a woman.
Right. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was kind of. So I was kind of torn a bit because I was thought, if it had been a bloke, I'd have really gone, oh well, it's bloody obvious, isn't it? Because
it's
another bloody bloke.
Because I was going to make the joke, but breasts are a lot more attractive than man's junk. Well, depending where you stand on
pretty
that.
much anything's more attractive. but it was filmed by a woman, so I thought, okay, so fair enough. So she's made that decision as a director to say that scene stays because it adds something, but I couldn't see what it was. But nonetheless, that film still won. Came through as one of the winners. So who am I? But
was it a bit arty?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of. It was very sort of long, 100-yard stairs.
Because I often find that art films that show nudity. They're kind of hiding behind the fact they're art. Do you know what I mean? Like,
trying to justify the nudity by saying,
well, we're an art film, so we're doing this artistically. It's not pornography.
Because you see how that shape accents this, blah, blah,
Oh yeah, this is a representation of the moon.
Yeah.
It's like Blue is the Warmest Colour, for example.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially a softish core porn movie.
Yeah.
It's quite graphic, isn't it? From what I hear,
very
quite graphic. Because that's the sort of thing. It's like it sounds like an interesting film. Like I imagine the story of it is really interesting.
But I don't think you need those extended sex scenes.
No, if I was sitting there watching that with Liz, I would feel uncomfortable. Like I could watch it. It's but I know that sort of thing would probably make her feel uncomfortable. She's she's not into. You know what I'm saying?
Graphic.
She's not into that graphic sort of.
Yeah.
So I would start feeling uncomfortable because I know she's feeling uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
So I'd probably not enjoy it.
I just it's just a personal thing, and obviously I'm not alone in this, but it's just does it add any value? Does it have? I'm not saying nudity never has a purpose in film. There could be a very good reason. It could be a comedic thing where they've got to sort of jump out of a window because the partners come home, sort of thing. So there's all kinds of possibilities.
And it's the same with Blue is the Warmest Colour. Like it needed to be in there, but I just don't think it needed to be so extended and so graphic.
25 minutes.
Yeah,
it didn't need to be in there that much.
Yeah. Like I get it. These people are deeply in love. And it's a lesbian.
But I got that within the first 30 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but nonetheless, they won, and then a really nice documentary actually about a guy who was a cow farmer, but then he realised that cows have feelings too, and he really struggled with them going to slaughter, and now they're running a vegan farm. All the cows were sent somewhere like a forever farm where they just get to frolic around in the fields, and he's now running a vegan farm. And actually it was really interesting because you had a couple of shorts that were kind of like a horror short or a comedy short or a sort of thing, but then you had this documentary, and actually I thought, and actually that ended up winning.
Oh, right.
See, I was starting to get annoyed, but then I remembered you said, no, it's a documentary, and I was like, oh, it actually happened.
Yeah.
Because...
no, it wouldn't have been irritating as I understand where you're coming from. No, this genuinely happened. He was a really nice guy, and it was just a really nice documentary, and actually when you see the success, all the pains they went through about can we afford it, are we going to lose the farm, And then suddenly, they're running this successful sort of vegan, planting everything, and then you just think, cool, that's really cool, because you struggled with sort of sentient beings, which a lot of people do, and you made a decision, you took the risk, and and it was really nice.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so that was Tuesday, and then I got my ticket to the Sunday big show at the Royal Albert, and that was exciting. It's very much like filming, attending that, because there were timings about you must be here by then. Doors would be shut then because of the filming, because obviously it was on BBC One.
Yeah.
But then obviously when I did arrive, they went, well, actually we're not opening the doors until then, and then this is all being pushed back. And
As
then,
ever.
and you think, oh, it's just like being on a film set. Everyone was told to be there at sort of 9 o'clock, but now you can't get through the door. So. You have, and the problem is, I'm sure you've been to Royal Albert Hall. Obviously, there is really nothing else around the Royal Albert Hall. There's not like a big fleet of shops and coffee houses. Well, there
Science museums down the road.
It's largely residential around.
Yeah, it is largely residential.
Then there's a big park.
Yeah, you can walk over sort of to the Serpentine to the restaurant over there, or you can walk down into the town. But what I mean is, there's not like you can just go around the corner to have a coffee. You actually have to sort of route march somewhere.
Yeah.
So. Us, sort of a lot of us were like, oh. So I went round the back to have a look at the red carpet, which obviously, like all things, is the red carpet bit was fantastic. But obviously, all the sort of the broken down stands and sort of half finished things in the background. Go, oh, it's just like you think it would be, wouldn't
it? Out of shot. There's
just all out of shot. All and there's like they said, oh, you have to go to the. There's one funny bit where the guy misunderstood, because I think he thought I was red carpet material. Bless him. I said, yes, that's me. Yes, famous director.
Let me in now.
I'll fake it for 2 hours. Yeah. But he said, "Oh no, you got to go to the black tent to be signed in." And the black tent, of course, because it's right on the red carpet. You think, oh, it's going to be some palatial thing. You know those ones you use on market stalls.
The pop-up gazebo.
Yeah, the pop-up. It was a pop-up gazebo, but just black.
With a school dining room table.
Yeah,
just popped up with bits of paper on top
literally. Because you think in some reason in your head, don't you? You think, oh, it's all going to be very palatial, and it's all going to be oak carved, and there's going to be swans and things. And actually, no, it's just a gazebo.
Well, it's like going behind the scenes on some of these press events. It's exactly the same. Like the
press ruins your view.
The press room is basically a picnic table with a bunch of like stale sandwiches on it and things like that. And
absolutely.
There's an internet connection. That's it.
Yeah. Picking up your wristband at a festival.
Yeah.
Just like march through this sort of
exactly.
It does ruin your dream of it, but fair dues, why would they spend money on stuff they don't have to? So that's fine.
Yeah.
So wandered around for a bit, then got let in. Then there was a whole thing about actually you can't go into the auditorium until later. So then there was a lot of standing around, which is fine for most people, because there was an awful lot of Tattinger. There were boxes and boxes of Tattinger being ferried all over the place. So I thought, this is the right kind of place. So I had a water, obviously, behaving myself. But then, you just see people going by, and you suddenly realise you're in that world. You suddenly go, oh, that's some.
I know. Yeah.
And then I ended up standing next to Mark Gatiss, who was chatting to someone, and obviously there's a big thing when they send you the pack about do not sort of fanboy.
Don't approach people. Don't look at them.
I think you can sort of do a smile and a wave sort of thing. You can't go up and hold them and go, I love you and everything you've ever done. You're the best. Thank you for Sherlock. Oh, you're so great. And that's fair enough, because they're there for evening as well. They don't want people, they're there to sort of relax with their mates and have a fun time. So,
but with old Mark, you could, we got mutual. I know someone who knows someone who knows you.
Yeah, I know someone who knows someone who. Yeah.
But
I listen to Secret Histories of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I mean, I took the decision that no, fair enough, because if I was in that world and I sort of properly in that world, as in the ward level, I'd probably just want to chat to my mates and just have an evening. I wouldn't want oddballs coming up and
having.
It's not that type of event, is it?
No.
Having a relative who has been spotted and being with him when it happens. They don't always want it.
No.
I can tell you that for a fucking fact.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Good point.
So, also, I won't waffle on too much about it. So basically, then you get seated. They do an announcement. Basically, it's quite funny. It's basically about people giving their thank you speeches. Keep it short, because it's being edited down on the fly. For BBC. So there was like, for God's sake, don't go on. Just sort of come up and say
thank you,
thanks, and
to
get
these
off.
people and bugger off.
And then, it was sat down. Cirque du Soleil did an opening act, which was just unbelievable. It was these kind of bendy
the acrobats.
boards.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Guy's insane, but brilliant. And then it was on to the show, but obviously the way they edit it onto the television show, they did sort of, I suppose, the bigger awards, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm sensitive about that, considering what the Oscars have done. But
actually, they've reversed that decision
they now
today.
reversed
I've
it?
just had a look on the BBC.
Okay. Oh,
they
good.
were going to do some of the less prestigious awards, like hair
like
and makeup
editing, because
editing
that doesn't matter at all in a film.
during the ad breaks.
Yeah, they treated them that low.
The Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they did. So
the BAFTAs do. Here's some awards we did earlier, right at the end, and it's all the kind of shorts and animated.
Which is interesting because they're the ones that sort of almost start,
Yeah.
almost at the beginning. So you
Yeah.
think, why not just flow? Because obviously it's all building to the big hitters, if you like, at the end, and everyone knows that. So why not just? Anyway, that's not my decision. But no, fantastic evening. It was amazing to see, some huge stars and names come up to the stage to get awards or even just get referenced, and obviously disappointing that some I thought didn't.
Yeah.
But such is life. But and got chatting to a few people who are in the biz, and had a chat with one of them afterwards. We're just chatting at the moment, so that's all good.
Okay.
But all in all, it was a fantastic evening, and I'm really grateful that I got the opportunity to go. And as I said to someone, I hope in the next couple of years I'm downstairs waiting for my name to come up.
Rather than in the nosebleeds.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Because I actually got vertigo up there when
I thought I would. I genuinely thought when I realised that we were up in sort of the third, in the Elgar bar and everything, I did look in and go, oh.
It's have you been to the Royal?
I've been, yeah.
That's quite a long way away from the floor.
I wasn't up there though.
Have you not?
No. Last time I went, there was a lot of scaffold around. Is that gone now?
That's all gone.
Yeah.
That's all gone. So that was last year, but we sort of did a last minute. Oh shit! There's still tickets available. Let's go. They're going cheap, and we were in like the boxes.
Okay.
So we weren't on the floor, but we were the next tier up, the first tier.
No, boxes are alright. Although I found those quite small.
You got the floor, but then you've got those two open tiers.
Yeah.
Yes.
One down. One. I think we were on the first or the second. I think we were on the second lot, so it was sort of quite low down. But I looked up and went, that goes up
And
really,
it's really
sharp.
steeply raked.
It's like
It
that,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, oddly, because I'm not hugely good on man-made buildings. Mansions I'm alright with, but man-made stuff not great. But actually, because we were reasonably far back, sort of the crew people were reasonably far back, you didn't really feel it. You were just kind of looking down. And I think also you were very much focused on, and here's Olivia Colman, and here's Bradley Cooper, and here's and here's a whole phalanx of sort of famous people. And I think you were so sort of in the moment of going, oh, look.
Yeah. No, I just know that Joe.
I'm surprised they turned up to the BAFTAs.
Yeah.
Joe had bad dreams for like 2 or 3 nights after we'd been there. Yeah, because she's got a real fear of kind of that vertigo-y heights stuff.
Oh,
anyway.
sorry, bless her. That's not good if you dream afterwards about it. That's really bad.
Yeah,
I think it was probably just more being in the moment. I think my kind of initial.
But I don't
was
usually
put
get
aside.
that. But in that building, I've only ever been in that building, St Paul's Cathedral as well, around the circle at the top of the dome.
Yeah, that's
I
quite
got
high.
it there too.
Yeah.
It was just like, oof.
I think the only time I ever had something similar was when the first time we went to the O2. I think it was a Bon Jovi concert, and we were up in the nosebleeds. And the O2 does that. When you get up to that bit, it's like a real shallow gradient, and then it just goes up really steeply. And we were up the top there, and I was coming down with flu at the time, which I didn't realise. So I sort of had that, and I sat down, and obviously when they come on, you stand up, and you stand up tentatively. You're like, oh god! And you're like, no, you can stand up straight. Like you've never you've never leant forwards while you've been standing. So don't worry about it.
It's such a weird.
It's that weird thing,
feeling,
isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't want to stand up straight in case I fall forward. It's like, well, you never have yet.
It's interesting you say that actually, because there was not all the seats were taken, because obviously they shut the door. Basically, they say once the door's shut, that's it.
Nobody's coming in.
No one comes in because it's live recording. So they have absolutely no interruption. Which I wish more places did that. If you're not here then, you're not coming in. Don't care if you pay for a ticket. But there were some seats further forward that were free. Obviously, people hadn't made it on time or whatever. And there was part of me thinking, oh, should I just step over so we've got a bit more space?
Yeah.
But the moment I thought about stepping over, I thought, what's actually going to happen is I'm going to put my leg over to step over, but then tumble, and then I'll just hit all the other chairs in front of me, and then just go over the edge and die.
Yeah.
Which is obviously completely ridiculous, but my head's already worked out that's definitely what will happen.
Slam through a table just before you die. You look and go, oh, Bradley Cooper.
Well, Bradley Cooper rescues me in his arms. Yeah. No, but it really was. The moment my brain went, This is the sequence of events if you try this.
Yeah.
I just stayed in my seat.
I'll just stay here.
I'll just stay here. I don't want to die.
This is fine.
You're okay, generally, like in those sort of events, you're okay as long as the door to the toilets is behind you. Because if it's down the stairs, that's when you're sort of, as you're walking downstairs to get to that door.
Yeah. How was Joanna Lumley's jokes? How were they kind of... Because the TV, it was a bit kind of awkward.
I think she's a great host.
Yeah.
I just think the material she was working with, I don't want to get into...
It's weird, isn't it?
Who wrote it, but a lot of it was just a bit...
Yeah. Yeah.
I know she's there to do the segues and there to sort of fill in the gaps while people are coming on and off the stage, and it is thankless. And
hosting, yeah.
But I think she could have probably just talked about various other things without having to feel the need to sort of put a joke in at every sort of segue.
And Stephen Fry was really good at it. That's the problem.
He was, but
and I feel that he probably wrote most of that as well.
But I think, there were people saying that also he sort of took, he went on a long time as well, and that's a problem with live recording, that they're trying to get through, because there is a lot of awards to give. There's an awful lot of awards to get through, and they're trying to do it in one evening. Yeah. So what they really need from a host is to basically, is to come out and say, and then the next award is for, and then whoever's presenting that award's come on, and that's really their whole job. Yeah. It's just to be that little segue element of while there's a gap or while people are sort of sorting themselves out, that they just come on and say the next thing is.
They're essentially an MC, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a lot of time for Joanna Lumley, and
she's fantastic.
She's just brilliant in every way, and I did feel sort of genuinely, I was sort of clutching at sort of a couple of points, going,
no, Joanna.
There was a bit where she was talking about Steve Coogan, and he grimaced at the joke, and I was like, oh.
It's bad when he gets caught on camera, isn't it?
Yeah, on TV as well. He kind of looked down the barrel and was like,
oh no. And the thing is, it wasn't particularly necessary either.
No.
It wasn't like there was a delay and she had to fill. But it was pretty seamless in terms of getting people on and off. And there was a couple of speeches that they sort of went off, I suppose, what they were asked to do. But fair dues, it's your one moment in the limelight. I saw it, How, I suppose, is their view. But she, as I say, she could have just come on and just had a sort of a bit of a chat, if you like. Yeah. And that would have been fine.
She could have just been herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's naturally funny anyway, isn't she? So she could have been funny without...
Yeah. I think she was just told, look, you've got, that's your time, you've got to hit those 3 beats, here are your 4 lines, do not deviate under any circumstances.
Yeah. This is the punchline, make sure it hits home.
And who knows, I can't imagine she thought they were great, but...
Because the televised thing seemed to finish on time, which is a miracle.
Yeah. But I think that was a lot of them sort of saying get on and get off.
Yeah.
And I think they did cut some of the stuff that happened, because I did watch it live, and they did cut down on some of the stuff, but generally speaking, that was pretty much what happened. Yeah. And hats off obviously to the editors, which we'll come on to in a minute, who were editing on the fly, obviously for the evening, because I know they're doing it, but there's got to be a moment where it actually starts, because I think we started about 6, somewhere around there, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So they know for the moment.
It starts to get televised at about 8, doesn't it?
9, I think it was 9.
Or is it 9 till 11?
9 till 11 or 8 till 11. But they're pretty much on it, because I know they know what they're doing, and they know what they've got to do, but there's still got to be an element of squeaky bum time, hasn't there? They go, right, we've got to edit this on the fly now for the next 2 hours.
Yeah. Wow. It was like when I went to Marrakesh the other month, I got to go behind the scenes at the Formula E, and those guys are editing as the race is going on. Yeah. Like highlight reels and things to show at the end, and it's just like,
incredible.
It's such a skill, isn't it? They've got to cut the replays and chuck it over, and the replay happens like pretty much instantaneously, doesn't it?
It's nuts.
So that was nice, and obviously, and then at the end of the evening, obviously the commoners like me were sort of booted out. And then obviously the successful people went on to the Grosvenor for a nice evening meal.
You didn't manage to sneak your way in there then?
No, I was just thinking, do you think I could get past that massive amount of security and just blag my way on? But a lot of it was done by buses, which again just sort of, obviously the really high rollers were being taken out in limos. But and I think Joanna made that point, didn't she, about struggling
struggling through London.
Because it was all, I think it was Audi sponsored this year, so it was all sort of Audi limos outside. And there was a big point. I had one of the security guards say, "Do not let anything but an Audi up this road." And so the other security people going, "Oh, okay." So nothing but Audi gets up here, and it's like,
wow,
oh bloody hell, all right. But I assume they paid an astonishing amount of money.
Yeah, so if anything gets picked up on TV on this road,
well, you don't want to Audi Mercedes.
Yeah.
Audi,
exactly. Audi Skoda.
Because the Mercedes was then taking a photograph and going, there was the real star of the show.
Precisely. The PR stuff.
But no, it was a really nice evening. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice to sort of chat with a few people and see sort of the big names, if you like. And
I suppose the big benefit though is the being invited to the shorts thing, because I suppose the people that you're rubbing shoulders with there are much more in your world, if you like. Yeah, and it was fascinating. I talked to one of the shorts, Blue Door, features Gemma Whelan, who obviously I've known of her since she was on Live at the Electric Ballroom doing sort of comedy, which is many years, and then suddenly she's in like Game of Thrones, and so obviously her day rate, if you like, has gone from middling to And so I did speak to the guy and said, how did you, if you're prepared to talk about it, how did you sort of afford her? Because obviously that you were filming that when she was already in Game of Thrones, so presumably her agent's gone from, well, it's £1 a day to 10 grand a day, sort of thing. And he said, oh no, that was just sort of it was friends and acquaintances, and we just managed to get some things done. So that that's great to hear that still happens, and that is how things get made. Really, it's all sort of pulling favours and friendships and sort of thing. But yeah, it's really nice to have that chat and chat to a couple of them about how they approached things, how they did things, and obviously understanding that these are the things that made it to the sort of the winner's podium, if you like. And I'm gonna, once the editing's finished on the short I filmed last year, I'm gonna put that in. But I think it's possibly too harrowing for the kind of content they had at the awards finals, because it was all, even the horror one was. How can I put it? It was. I suppose it depends on your approach to horror, but it was like a, oh god sort of thing. But it was that level, but it wasn't like super dark.
Oh god.
So I'm thinking, maybe it won't get. I don't know. I'll put it in and see what happens.
Well, that's it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, isn't it? Why not?
Yeah.
Even put it in like people then see it as well.
That's it. As if it gets in front of the right people, you never know, do you? So,
no, absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say something else then. I can't remember. I hate it when this happens. This happens a lot.
Can't help you on that.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
It'll come back later.
Never mind.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So you said you were going to get onto editing when you said editors quite sternly into the microphone.
The Oscar decision that some people apparently aren't as important as others, which is just utterly ludicrous, because nothing gets made without everyone involved. And obviously, as you said, they've now decided to reverse that decision, which is good. And there was, I can't think who it was. It was who was it who put a piece on Twitter about, this is my film unedited, and he just had it was just a black picture. And that was it. It was just a black photo.
This is unedited.
And it's like, how, I don't know, I can't even think of the words to describe it, but just how out of touch are you to think?
It is disgusting at an event that is about filmmaking and celebrating film, that they would decide, okay, so we're gonna, these ones that nobody cares about, or the masses don't care about, we're gonna stick in the ad breaks, which, on the one hand, when you're making an entertainment TV program for a broad audience, there are a huge amount of people that goes, oh, who cares about the makeup, who cares about this, who cares about that? But at the same time, you shouldn't lessen their involvement in the film by just sticking them in an ad break. It doesn't appeal to the masses.
No, but it's hugely insulting. If you take any film and you say, oh, I don't care about makeup or editing, it's like, well, let's show you the non-made-up, non-edited version of this film. See how much you enjoy it. No special effects, no makeup. So let's take Marvel. Take any Marvel film and say, this is the unedited version with no special effects, no makeup.
It'd just be like the Blue Man Group, but like a Green Man Group jumping around on a green stage, really,
Robert
wouldn't
Downey
it?
Jr. sat in a shed.
Yeah, staring behind a green screen, just staring up.
It'll be Thor's hammer hitting the floor with like a instead of a chunk, like instead of a real impressive noise.
Yeah, so it was going to be live action, short, cinematography, editing, and makeup and hair. They were the ones going to be streamed online.
It's just so
during the ad breaks.
And also, even if your view is, I don't think they're as important, which I totally disagree with. But also, was that the thin end of the wedge? Did they start bumping other things and just saying?
Yeah, and it does make you think. It's like, how is hair and makeup less important, than any of it, of course. But then, why would they choose hair and makeup over score? Yeah. Like, why does score get higher placement than hair and makeup?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's on the screen, but then so's hair and makeup.
But it's not on the screen, is it? It's just in your ears. Like, you don't see anything with the score.
No, it's. I just think every single person involved, regardless of where you think they place in the hierarchy, if you like, is absolutely vital. Because I remember talking to someone ages ago about runners, because obviously they're sort of the lowest, down the pecking order, if you like, because they're learning the craft. But actually, if the runner is going and getting sort of some gaffer tape, or is finding that prop, or is making sure that person's over on set B at that point, or all that stuff they do, they're incredibly important to this thing happening. And this whole thing about we're going to rank order of importance.
You can't.
You can't, because nothing gets made without everyone giving their sort of best in it. And I was just horrified, particularly the Oscars, like you say, when it's a celebration of film, just starting to make value decisions about these things are less worthy.
Well, it's like trying to insert a new category for popular film, best popular film.
Yeah.
Which has also been canned until at least next year.
It should be canned forever.
Yeah, because
popular film.
Because
so
the Oscar never goes to blockbusters.
So they were going to celebrate. They were going to make a new category, so the blockbuster definitely got an award.
Yeah, because they never do, because it's all art house films. But best film is best film regardless of whether it's.
Yeah.
Up until recently, it's that argument over best animated feature as well.
Yeah.
Why is that a separate category?
Yeah.
Why did it's only recently that they've started putting animated films in Best Picture?
It's always been seen as a lesser medium, hasn't it? Which is completely wrong. But
in the same way as comedy and horror have never won a Best Picture.
Yeah, so they've got separate categories. Or
no, they don't.
They don't
actually.
They
it's just because it's seen as a cheaper, easier.
But when you think about it, it's like you separate in animated feature from best feature or best picture, and it's what is filmmaking at its heart but storytelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's real people up on the screen or animated people up on the screen. It's still telling a story. Like Inside Out, was a fantastic film,
it's
an incredible story and genuine. Genuine emotions.
Yeah,
I think
I'm guessing here, but I think the argument they're always putting. I think the argument they would put forward, and this is just my guess, is that they want to celebrate, I suppose, humans being sort of the lead role.
But that's why you've got best actor, best supporting actor.
I understand that, but I just think if there was, let's say, Inside Out won over everything else, are they then worried that you're saying actually an animated character actually did a better lead role, than human actors?
That's just scaremongering, isn't it? That's oh god, the computers are going to take our jobs. It's like, well, no, because who voiced that character? An actor,
and
actors who play in live action films voice that character.
Absolutely.
So it would be no good having Inside Out with me and Tom as the voices, because we're not voice actors.
But why not give it a whirl?
You might hear something in the future.
Oh
yeah, you forgot about that.
Well,
it's hard to, but so we might be voice actors.
But it's drawn criticism from everyone, from Spike Lee, for example. He said, without cinematographers and film editors, I'd be lost wandering in the cinema wilderness.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe called it a fundamentally stupid decision.
Yeah.
And Alfonso Cuarón's the best one. In the history of cinema, masterpieces have existed without sound, without colour, without a story, without actors, and without music. No one single film has ever existed without cinematography and without editing.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Which is a very, very good...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really well thought out tweet.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, but it's one of those weird things. I've always said, because I'm not a student of film, so I don't generally... I kind of understand what a director does, but I can't watch a film and go, oh, that piece of editing was brilliant, or that framing was really good. So it doesn't appeal to the broader audience, does it?
No, of course not.
Best cinematography, people go, what does a cinematographer do? Why is that better than that? Like, they don't understand it. So I think that was probably behind... Playing devil's advocate here, obviously. Yeah. I think that was the decision behind sort of movies.
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day...
It's obvious what music does to a film. It's obvious when you hear a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
See, I think you're playing...
But hair and makeup is obvious if it's good hair and makeup. Like, that's not something...
Yeah.
I think I know you're playing devil's advocate, but I think if people don't understand the value of it, maybe they should flip it and actually make a point of explaining why this category exists.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand what cinematography is, maybe they should start with, so these people do that.
Yeah.
That's how that part of the film.
So yeah, in the intro to
production gets made.
The next award is for best cinematography. This covers, and then just explain it, so make people understand. Yeah, that's probably better than relegating them to the ad breaks.
Even more important than any of that is the fact that these people actually get to appear on TV, winning their award in front of their peers.
Yeah, yes, good point. Very good point. Yeah, absolutely.
That is the reason that they
could
should
affect their career in future.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a very good point.
And that's the value of it.
They get the national recognition. Yeah. That's a very good point.
So,
But as you say, they've reversed it. Obviously, they've had enough weight. I think, to be honest, when the big, like when sort of Spike Lee and stuff, like you say, when he and other big hitter directors came in and went, this is a bloody stupid decision.
Yeah.
There must have been some kind of emergency meeting at Oscars.
Yeah, apparently they took the feed.
This is the real.
All the people we were inviting hate our decision. Do you think maybe we should roll back on it?
I think this is the power, and this is where social media is a good platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they've put it out there, and they've got millions of people seeing that tweet, going "fuck the Oscars, let's boycott," which I usually hate, but it made a massive difference with like the black community a few years ago
Oscars
as well.
So white and things. Yeah.
Being middle-aged white men and just getting nominated for everything and being like members of the Academy or whatever, and making these decisions. So that social media does have.
It does. Yeah, I constantly see people saying, "Oh, it's only sort of trolls and narcissists," but no, there is some good stuff out there.
But the question is, if they've reversed this decision and said, "Okay, these categories are now going to be in the main program," what are they doing during the ad breaks now? Are they just taking different categories?
No, I think they pause it. I think they take breaks.
Yeah.
Because it's such a long ceremony.
Go to the toilet, go and get a drink.
Yeah. I think it's like that.
I remember in America, it's advert breaks every 3 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't.
So that would be where all the set changes and people moving happens.
Yeah. You'd almost get, now the award goes to advert break.
Yeah.
So and now the award,
It's like anything. I just cannot watch TV in America.
No, it's quite adverty.
It's very adverty. I tried to watch. I think it was when Saoirse Ronan was on one of them, and I was like, well, I want to hear what she has to say, because it was, I don't know whether it was Lady Bird or something was out at the time.
Okay.
And I thought it was on Conan or it was on one of the other, Jimmy Kimmel or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they're going to get into the interview after this ad break, and sure enough, he asks a question and she answers, and then they cut away for another ad break.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and it's just
drives you nuts.
I can guarantee one question they asked her. How do you say your name? I've seen a YouTube video, and it is basically, she's always asked how to pronounce her name, and what's the weirdest way anyone's ever pronounced your name, and how do you pronounce your name versus how do I pronounce your name.
So bored, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and like every fucking interview she gets asked that question.
Yeah.
God, that would be
And I think she actually
boring.
said in one of her interviews, she actually says it wrong. She says it wrong herself. Like, that's not the actual way you're supposed to say this name.
And that's it, isn't it? I think you do get to a point, I can't remember who it was, but they told a lie in one of their interviews, and it got onto their Wikipedia page, and now it's just one of these things that
it's
people,
a fact.
yeah,
because it's got somewhere that it can be.
I can't remember who it was. I think they were on with Scroobius Pip or something, and he asked them about it, and whoever it was like, no, I you get so bored of answering the same question with the same answer that I just made something up, and now it's stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it must get so tedious.
Yeah. But in doing that, you have a reference, so Wikipedia keeps it as that is a fact.
It's a valid reference,
yeah.
Did you see the one Stephen Merchant put out about how he sort of writes, or the harsh realities of writing?
No.
That amused me. He did a short video because a lot of people say, you writers, you're some sort of Learjets and sort of swimming pools and you just kick around drinking champagne. They said no, because of the way it works, a lot of it you end up having to write in hotel rooms because, if they need changes overnight or whatever, then the only space you've really got is back in your hotel room, get your laptop up, get going. There is no luxury sort of, writer's room. And he said, but obviously because he's 6'7", he can't get under tables in most hotel rooms, so he has to kind of borrow a table from the hallway or something that his legs can fit under. And he said, in one of the things he was writing, he managed to fashion a table using the ironing board and a suitcase and stuff, so it was the right height for him to be able to write from. And he said, this is the reality of being a writer. Not, all these people have got it in their heads that it's all like luxury and kicking back are idiots, And he's got this photograph of the ironing board and this suitcase on top of it and stuff. That's the reality.
Genuinely how he writes.
That was the only way he could get his legs underneath something so he could type.
Bloody hell.
It was just superb.
Finding a place to type. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Right. I've got a story that I want to talk about.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that's happened this week, and it's not the job thing.
And it's not the job thing. We're still getting cryptic on there.
Yeah. No, we lost some roof tiles off the house the other day. Don't know
wind
how.
related?
Don't know, because there aren't any broken ones anywhere, and they're not on the roof either. They're not in the guttering. I don't know where they've gone.
Oh, that's weird.
There's like 3 or 4 have
just disappeared.
The ridge tiles on the spine of the house going up the side towards the that join the side of the house to the rear roof.
Yeah.
It's that bit. The ridge.
Wow, they've just gone.
Yeah, and last Sunday we woke up to something scurrying around in the roof, and I was like, clearly a bird has got in or something. It was kind of, weren't sure whether it was on top of the roof because it sounded like it was running over the tiles.
Yeah.
But sure enough, I go up there and there's nothing there, and I can't see anything, and I've got the head torch on, and I've got my phone out, looking around.
Have you got a tennis racket just in case it's a
No,
giant bat?
I didn't. But there's a little piece of there's a length of wood up there, and it's got a nail in the end of it.
Oh my god!
And not because it.
I'm going to nail the bird to death.
I don't know where it came from.
And you've got it stuck to the end.
The only reason that I realised it had a nail on it is because I grabbed it by the end first off and pierced my skin. So yeah, I was kind of looking around and there was nothing there, and I was like, I think it's on the outside. It's fine. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of the back of a suitcase, this squirrel pops out and scares the absolute life out of me. I nearly fall off the ladder. God. And then it kind of like jumps back behind the suitcase, so I've got to pick up the stick and poke around. And then it eventually jumps out of the hole in the side of the thing, which wasn't there the other week when I went up to board the loft, so it was clearly wind damage, but where these tiles have gone I have no fucking clue. Anyway,
squirrel took them.
Yeah, possibly, because it was clearly taking bits of insulation as well. It's burrowed into the insulation and is making these little perfect holes, and I'm like, this is not happening. I'm not having a roost of squirrels.
Can you imagine if everyone, because when you said like it popped out and scared the absolute living shit out of you, nowhere else would that scare you?
No.
Like other than in your house.
It was
so. Like, can you imagine walking through a park and a squirrel just comes out from behind a tree and everyone shits themselves like you did then? Like that would just be such a weird world.
No, it's just seeing it in that context was weird.
Yeah.
So there was nothing really I could do. There was nothing I had around to kind of fix the hole. And I thought, well, I've shown it. It's gone. I shouted at it. And
got a nail in my board.
Yeah. I poked it with a stick. It came back like the next day, and it was scurrying around up there again. And I was man. And I got essentially like I had to get right into. I was on my back. I laid a board across the beams, laid on my back, and have staple gunned some pretty thick plastic sheeting over it, and have shoved some other bits up inside to try and block it off. But the second time I chased it out, Joe went downstairs to figure out where it was coming from, because it's quite high.
Yeah.
And there's nothing overhanging the back of the house. There's no trees or anything. What it's done, when it comes out of that hole, it goes directly down and underneath the guttering and then down the side of the house.
Wow.
Actually gripping onto the bricks.
It kind of does that. It kind of does a little kind of shuffle.
Wow.
How did it even know there was a hole up there?
I have absolutely no idea, but it's ruining our lives, because it's now, it doesn't come into the loft anymore. Now it's in the soffit.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's scratching around in there today, and we can't get to it because it's not in the loft and it's not visible.
Oh no.
But I had a bloke come out to price up the tiles, and he was just as baffled as me as to why there weren't any tile any laying around anywhere, or why they weren't sitting up there loose. He was like, has anyone been up here doing any work? I was like, no. He's like, so no. I think he was trying to insinuate that someone had come around and taken the tiles off, and then they'd be back, because that's a tactic some people use, is that they kind of come round when you're out, take tiles off, and then come round and go, notice you've got some tiles missing on your roof.
I happen to be a roofer. And I've got tiles that perfectly match yours in my van right now.
It's amazing.
Surely someone would have noticed some. Well, I suppose you might have seen them.
But it's round the back. There's no possible way.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, good point.
We'd have known. But yeah, so for 5 tiles to be replaced, because there's a couple more up there with cracks on. Because he was like, do you want to come up and have a look? And so I did.
And there is.
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
£800 for 5 tiles.
800.
Wow.
To replace the entire ridge up to the top, £1,200. But if he can put his advertising board on the scaffolding that he's going to erect, because he was like, they could do with some new tiles, and they could do with some new tiles, I'll knock £100 off.
100. Oh, how generous.
Yeah. So we phoned up the insurance company and we're like, hey, we've got storm damage, and they're sending someone around on Monday.
Okay.
But until then, I don't know whether we're going to ask the guy to have a poke around for squirrels in the soffit.
Insurance companies are really tight on storm damage. We had
brilliant.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right. They've said they're going to do it.
Really?
It's weird.
Mine wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mine were like sort of, oh no, this is wear and tear. And it's like, well, no, but tiles are, no, it's wear and tear.
No, we said that it was to do with Storm Eric, which it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when they went missing.
Yeah.
Don't know where they went, but
they probably just go, yeah, all right.
No, the guy was like, oh yeah, he's kept me very busy lately. Eric. But yeah, they reckon £150 excess, and then
which is a little bit better than 800.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
The
150 is just to make sure you're not trying it on, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, just to make sure.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, so like when I knocked on the door and Joe answered the door, I had a really weird thing he said to me. Like, you normally knock on the door, hello. We just got a squirrel problem at the minute. Go straight down. Like, wait, what squirrel? Okay. It's just one of those weird things.
I was in the loft poking at the top of the, rattling around in there,
trying to scare it
out. I don't know whether it's worked.
Surely you could get a comedy short out of this if you try.
Oh yeah, it'll be man versus squirrel. It's like Caddyshack.
I was going to say it's Caddyshack. Screwed at the end, just still here.
Yeah, I think it's taken. Like I say, I think it's taken the tiles and the stuffing and is making its own little squirrel house somewhere.
Just to have some babies. Yeah. It's spring. It's nesting, Tom.
Yeah, shut up. So I think it's time for me to get back up there and try and.
So I think with you're saying having a little poke around. That's probably like pest control, isn't it?
Yeah. More money.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't do it, man.
No.
Innocent little squirrel.
Yeah,
Just
but
get out
I
there
don't want
and
it in my house.
No, make sure it's a humane pest
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
Or is your house on their land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Animals are farthing wood style.
Squirrels don't live more than 70 years. I'm pretty sure the house was here before that squirrel.
His ancestors.
Yeah, well,
His ancestors, his proud ancestors.
well, grey squirrels aren't even from this country. They should fuck off back to their own country, shouldn't they?
Oh, where's that heading, I wonder?
And with that,
Yes.
it's been lovely having you on again, Andy.
Thank
you for coming
It's been
down.
fantastic. Congratulations on Monsoon Jackson.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Looking
Yeah.
forward to what's
Really
next.
enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to go back up and battle with the squirrel.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how that goes next time. So until
Good.
next time, I have been Tom.
I've been Ant.
I've been Andy.
Bye.